Along with my board of directors, we welcome you. And we welcome our distinguished candidates who have made time to be here tonight. With us, we have State Representative for the 149th District, Kimberly Fiorello. And her Democratic opponent for the position, Khanna. And also our state senator for the 36th District of Connecticut, Ryan Fazio, on the and his Democratic opponent, Trevor, Crowe. Firstly, I would like to thank Lee Retzler for chairing this and planning this event. And of course, as always, a huge thank you to our vice presidents, Nancy Duffy and Patty Azer, who always come through for us, filling all the gaps, making sure that all the details are attended to. I am so grateful for their efforts. I would also like to thank our question collection team, Janet McKenzie and Mark Pruner, who read through all the submittals that you guys sent in and organize them into a concise set of topics that we hope will cover the issues most important to you. And thanks to our board of directors and committee members who have volunteered to help here tonight with running timers, manning the tables, and helping set up the event. And mostly thanks to you, our members, friends, and neighbors who we're here to serve. Politics is at the forefront of our minds this time of year as another election season approaches. So many issues of concern, and we are fortunate to have such a wonderful group of dedicated and caring candidates who are willing to step up and share their thoughts with us this evening. We hope to provide you with a great program that is informative and useful and helps you with the important decisions we have in the upcoming elections. Before we begin, I would like to make a few brief comments about the Round Hill Association and invite each of you to participate in the events and activities that we hold. We strive to put together a calendar of events each year with programs that we hope to make our neighborhood a little better, a little cleaner, a little more beautiful, and a little more fun to live in all around. We landscape traffic islands, sponsor lectures, organize mini concerts, send out welcome packages to new neighbors, monitor local issues related to things like development in the Westchester Airport. We advocate for safer streets and crime prevention, and we hold political forums such as this one to help educate our membership and serve the local community. We're an open and welcoming group whose only goal is to make our neighborhood as good as it can be. One last comment that I'm sure you've all noticed, sadly, we must bid a farewell to our local backcountry gas station. After 85 years of selling gasoline at the intersection of Old Mill Road, the pumps have been removed permanently. With the store and the repair shop will remain, thankfully, we will certainly miss the convenience and the always friendly conversation with Hector and Xenon and the others who provided that feeling of a bygone era with the hometown mom and pop vibe. It always reminded me of the scene in Back to the Future where Michael J. Fox marvels at the service station when attendants come cheerfully running out, attending to the cars with enthusiasm and a smile. And we had that experience here on Round Hill Road every day for real. We wish to thank Sandy and the whole Strain family for their valiant efforts to keep it open as long as they did. We wish them well in their future endeavors. There's a blog entry on our website with a bit more information if you'd like to learn more about it, but we will certainly miss that local convenience. And now on to the program. I will describe the rules which our candidates have been informed of, and thank you for agreeing to participate tonight. The format we have planned is a little different than usual. It's designed to be fair, simple, and straightforward. We hope that it allows each one of you an opportunity to fully share your views on the subject matter with a bit less of that stopwatch back and forth pressure. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to make opening statements and introduce themselves. Then we will begin the question and answer section. Each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted. The state representatives will be given the same amount of time as the Senate candidates, and the order will be randomized between the candidates on all 4 seats. We are foregoing the normal 30-second rebuttal process. Instead, each candidate will have the opportunity to share their views for the full 2 minutes, and then we will move on to the next randomly selected candidate who will have the same amount of time, and so on. If a candidate does wish to make a rebuttal, we suggest you perhaps save that for your last closing statements. We hope this provides a more relaxed atmosphere where the candidates can fully share their views on each subject. We have selected 6 questions, and once we have gone through them all, the candidates will have that 3 minutes at the closing. To determine the speaking order, I will draw a name from this container, which is one of my wife's flower buckets. I will pull one name at a time out, set it aside to determine whose turn it is to speak. When each candidate has had their turn, the next question will be read and we'll repeat the process. There will be no live questions from the audience tonight. The questions for the evening have been submitted in advance by our members who received the debate invitation sent to them from our mailing list. If you have not provided us with a mailing address, an email address, please be sure to fill it out at the table at the door so you can be included in our next mailing. All of the questions have been reviewed and selected by 2 of our Round Hill board members, 1 registered Republican and 1 registered Democrat, and they've been formatted for reading by myself, a registered independent. So let's get started. We expect to go till about 8:30 tonight. Do the candidates have any questions? Okay, then let us begin. We've tried to choose questions that span both national topics and local interests. We have casted a wide net on broad subjects that will allow you to express your views while giving you and our community an opportunity to know you, to get to know you and your positions on the issues. So let's start with our 3-minute opening. Ryan Fazio.
Good evening. Thank you to the Round Hill Association and John for hosting us tonight. It is great to see standing room only here in this community center. I know it's not a testament to how funny we are or how charming we are, but rather to the engagement of this town, of the 36th district in our community and our political process. My name is Ryan Fazio, and I am honored to represent the 36th district in the state Senate because this community is my home, and it always has been. As soon as I got elected, I went to work across the aisle trying to solve the problems that face our community and our state. I introduced legislation to address the mental health crisis that we're facing in our schools. That legislation was folded into a larger bill and passed into law. I worked collaboratively across the aisle with, as the top Republican on the Senate's Aging Committee, with my Democratic counterpart in order to stop regulations that reduce access to home care companions and nurses' aides, and also co-sponsored legislation that passed into law to extend the statute of limitations on crimes committed against the elderly. And I worked hard in order to solve constituent problems that arose, including helping seniors secure FEMA aid when they had trouble doing so after the Isaias flooding that was especially prominent in Western Greenwich, helping constituents file and secure unemployment benefits when they lost their jobs and had trouble dealing with the bureaucracy, and many other issues. But as honored as I have been to serve, I'm even more excited and feel even greater urgency to run for a second term because of the immense challenges that our community and our state face over the next 2 years. Our economy in Connecticut is facing immense difficulty. The taxes are the second highest in the country, and the cost of living is rising at a breakneck speed. We need to bring people together in order to reduce taxes on all families and streamline regulations to support small business and reduce the cost of living. On zoning, we need to change 830G, protect local control of our communities, our neighborhoods, and our housing. We need to protect the public safety, reform the police accountability bill that undermined public safety, reduce the rise of car thefts and shootings and homicides. We need to keep abortion legal in the state of Connecticut and maintain high health and safety standards for the industry. And we need to bring people together, make our politics more civil, and focus on the problems in the future for the sake of all of our residents in this community and across our state. I look forward to our conversation tonight on the issues, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Rachel Khanna.
Thank you to the Round Hill Association and to all of you for joining us this evening. Shortly after I decided to run for office, I was invited up to Hartford. I happened to be there as an agreement with Sikorsky Lockheed Martin to build a new helicopter line in Connecticut came up for a vote. The agreement would maintain and create 30,000 direct and indirect jobs right here. I was stunned as I watched my opponent vote against the agreement. This isn't the only stunning no vote she's cast, but it is one of the many reasons why I decided to run for this seat. I believe it is our responsibility to hold our elected officials accountable for their votes, their actions, and what they say as our representatives in Hartford. Not only because their actions and votes are a reflection on us, but because they directly affect us as residents of this community and citizens of our state. Connecticut is having an economic revival which has been noticed by our state's business leaders and rating agencies. We've had 4 years of balanced budgets, and this year a historic $600 million tax cut. Our jobless rate has fallen sharply. Economic growth has exceeded the national average. Venture capital investment is increasing, and new business registrations are at a level not seen since 2006. Over the last 4 years, we've paid down nearly $6 billion of our pension liabilities, and our rainy day fund is at its legal maximum of $3.3 billion. None of this is in any way thanks to my opponent. In the last 2 years, Ms. Fiorello has made many fiery speeches on the assembly floor, but she's accomplished very little that helps our community. In fact, she's done just the opposite. She's voted against money for our schools, police department, and community projects and organizations. She's voted against tax relief for property owners and seniors. She voted against the very fiscally responsible measures, balancing the state budget, paying down our debt, and fully funding our rainy day fund that have stabilized our budget environment and led to the 4 rating agencies upgrading our bonds to AA and A+. She's voted against women's rights, gun safety, the environment, and funding for mental health. She made the purposeful decision to join the Conservative Caucus, a splinter coalition of 15 members who vote no on everything. She's failed to deliver for us. I'd like to tell you who I am. I'm a mom of 4 young women, an entrepreneur, and a triathlete. I've lived in Greenwich for over 20 years, and during this time, I've been an active volunteer. I also served as a member of the RTM, working to make our community better by advocating for better fire coverage in Greenwich. My approach is to work collaboratively with others, find the common sense solution, and get the job done. This is the approach I will take if elected to represent you, because I believe we need someone in Hartford who works for us, not against us. As your representative, I commit to these 3 things. I will make no tax increase budgets the norm rather than the exception, and will look for opportunities to lower taxes, such as eliminating the estate and gift tax. I will fight to find local solutions to our housing needs, and I will fight to protect the rights and freedoms that are now under attack in our country.
Thank you. Trevor.
Hello, thank you all for being here. I'm very honored to be sitting here and talking to you tonight. First of all, my name is Trevor Crowe. I'm a woman. There's a few doors I've got to there, like, where's Trevor? Yeah, it's happened. I'm a mother of 2. I'm a small business owner, and I'm a ex-figure skater. When I was younger, I saw Peggy Fleming skate, and I decided I want to do that too. From the time I was 7 years old till I was 18, I skated 6 hours a day. And that taught me grit and perseverance and how to get up and wipe yourself off and shake off all the snow and get back out there. I'm also a capitalist. I spent years on Wall Street. I have a Harvard Business School degree. And what I learned at Harvard Business School was what really makes America great is our entrepreneurial spirit, our collaborative work, our work ethic. And when we put our heads together, we can get anything done. That's why people like Elon Musk and Sergey Brin come to this country to start businesses. The other part of me is I'm a humanist. When my children went off to school in kindergarten, I decided I couldn't go down into the city. It just didn't have it in me. I wanted to be nearby them so I could pick them up if they got sick. So I got a degree in marriage and family therapy. And I have been a therapist now for 16 years. I love what I do. I do a lot of couples work, blended families, individuals, but altogether it's been 16 years of a great experience. What I want to do when I get to Hartford is put all those capabilities together and work hard for us, for our values, for what we believe in, right? We send a lot of tax dollars up to Hartford. I know we do. And I know we need to bring some more back here and invest in our infrastructure. We have a beautiful area here, and there's a lot of work we need to do. We have flooding. Our coastal cities are really at risk. We have rising sea levels. I want to work to help and mitigate that. I want to see our schools invested in. Ryan is a product of the public school system here, but he hasn't been a supporter of it. He has voted historically, ever since even being on the RTM, against funding for the schools here in Greenwich. Ryan also voted against the Women's Reproductive Freedom Act. I'm a family from 4 girls. My mother marched in Roe v. Wade. And when I heard about that vote, that's when I really decided I was gonna jump into this race. I was determined. This is not representative of us. Anyway, again, thank you so much for having me here. I want to build on Lamont's great work, keep paying down our unfunded liabilities and bringing business back to the state. We have a lot to do and we've made great progress. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm guessing the last name in there is Kimberly.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much to the Round Hill Association. It's really wonderful to be here. I'm State Representative Kimberly Fiorello, representing this area that covers Greenwich and Stamford. I want to tell you tonight why I'm running, what I've accomplished for you, and what I plan to do in the second term. Why I'm running is I love good ideas, and good ideas don't implement themselves. They need a champion. And in Connecticut, up in Hartford, I love to go up there and fight for the good ideas that don't look to solve our problems through the blunt and bloated tools of government, but to rely on the ingenuity and creativity of free people and free markets. What I've accomplished for you, and I think what's on your mind is, can she stop bad bills? And can she pass good bills? And the answer is yes. Yes, I can, and I have. When it came to the topic of zoning, which is such a complex and esoteric topic, and there were so many bills coming at us on zoning. Who knew that zoning would become such a big topic in our state? But it did. And I read 13 of those bills, ranging from expanding housing authority jurisdiction to the fair share housing bill, which was many more complex percentage mandates for our town, to the transit-oriented development. All of these bills sound good, and on their own, they may be good ideas, but when you read them, the implementation would harm our town. I wrote op-eds, I held informational Zooms, hundreds of emails that I respond to, and you responded. It was thanks to everyone like you, and I know I see many faces who did come to the testimonies, the public testimonies and the hearings, and together we defeated those zoning bills, and what did passed with an opt-out that we are exercising. And good bills. I can pass good bills. When I got up there, I did talk to a constituent from Greenwich and her daughter, and they talked to me about a food donation bill from New York. So I said, yes, let's do that in Connecticut. I went up there, I co-introduced that bill, and turns out the Democrats had already been working on that bill, but couldn't get the Republicans to the table because of mandate language, mandating supermarkets to donate. So I helped to change that mandate to a mandate that's more agreeable to the Republican side, a mandate to educate, a mandate to persuade. And that bill passed unanimously, and a resident from Greenwich is now serving on the task force to implement the food donation bill. It might seem like a small bill, but small bills are good because they're clear, they're understandable, and let's see if it makes a big difference. What I plan to do in the next session, I look forward to talking about the economy, education, zoning, and crime. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate each candidate taking our time so seriously. Thank you very much for that. We're going to get on to our questions now, the two-minute sections. I'll read the question first. And we're going to start on a personal level related to your past experiences. Tell us something about your background that we might not know. Have you served on the RTM or other local government boards? Where else have you been a member, a contributor, or a board member? And how will these interests influence your actions at the state level? First question goes to Trevor Crowe.
Okay, thank you. I've served on the board of the Center for Family Justice. I care very much about domestic violence and protecting those who are under the stress of that. I have counseled couples and individuals that have dealt with that. I would very much like to be part of family court reform when I'm elected, and I'd like to see better protection for families, moms, and dads. This is not just women are victims of domestic violence. I also served on the board of the Pequot Library, which is a jewel in Southport. Absolutely adore that place. They have an incredible collection called a special collection. It's amazing. If nobody has heard of it or seen it, please go to the Beinecke Library. But I care very much about preserving our past, our history, and this is something we've done very well with the Pequot Library. I'm also, I think I'm off the board right now of the visitors of WSHU, the NPR affiliate based at Sacred Heart University, and that's been a lot of fun. I've learned a little bit about journalism, and I helped coordinate and get the building built for them. So that was very exciting. Lastly, I was in the board of deacons at the Southport Congregational Church. It was incredibly an honor to be part of that. And again, all of those pieces come together in my commitment to the community, to my neighbors, and how amazing it is when we all get together and work out problems. So I would love to continue that kind of work right here. Oh, the last thing I was involved in, and is now up and running, it's called Fairfield Cares, C-A-R-E-S. And we were in a very early time starting to be concerned about mental health for kids. This is about 12 years ago. And again, same sort of issues. I would be happy to bring that type of initiative to this area because, again, I see this every day in my work, just how brutally impactful the pandemic was on our kids, but also on adults. And I believe very much in what we can do to help mental health. Thanks.
Thank you. Kimberly Fiorello.
Okay, a bit, is the microphone working?
Is the microphone, okay,
There it is.
it's working.
And if anyone needs the question restated, let me know.
I think it was a bit about myself and how it relates to the town. Okay, a bit about myself and how it relates to the town. So I'll say about my grandma and coffee shop. My grandmother came from a village in North Korea, and she survived poverty in South Korea. She came to the United States and lived a life that is beyond her dreams. And I took care of her until the end of her life, and she's buried in Putnam Cemetery. And how that relates to the town is there was a beautiful tour of the cemetery by the Greenwich Historical Society. And I love the history of the state. I love the history of our town. I love stone walls, historic cemeteries, century-old homes. In fact, my home is a century-old home that I renovated. So I do work at the Greenwich Historical Society on the Collections Committee. And that also informs how much I was engaged with the zoning. Because one of the things I realized when my grandmother passed is once they're gone, they're gone. And I felt that same sense when you looked at all of the beautiful buildings we have in our town and the threat that these zoning laws had towards that. And coffee shop is, my mother owned a coffee shop, and after school I went to go help her there. And I know keenly how much my parents were, my mother, because it was her business, worried about making payroll, trying to serve her customers the best she could, always trying to think of the next thing that her customers might want. So I have a real feeling for small business owners, and the laws that I see passing in Connecticut, they are not small business friendly. So I will be focusing on that as well, but that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you.